Hi everyone, I'm Allison. Thank you for joining me for Where I'm From 157 with Charlotte. What have you been reading? I read this book, Grief is for People by Sloane Crosley. Um, it I thought it was I really enjoyed it. It's the title comes from her saying that grief is for people, not things, because a friend dies by suicide. And as a person who is, hey, Charlotte, you
Okay.
did it. I did it. We did it.
I know I am not of the techie age, and so it's very challenging.
Well, and I think it produces some anxiety, like, for people, and they feel like if it's not going well, it's their fault, when actually it's just Instagram. So I'm glad that it didn't provide it. It went pretty smoothly. So I'm grateful you showed up. You're here, um, and I'm just it's nice to see you. Charlotte and I are friends from co-writing.
Yeah, 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 wonderful co-writing. And thank you, Allison, for this opportunity to contribute to this really important
Oh,
platform that you have created. It's a place for women to express and to explore how their past, I mean, where we are from, right?
yeah.
It's just it's the first.
Oh no, where'd you go? Oh, that's very strange. Charlotte, you went away. Um, oh, okay.
I'm back. Am I back? Oh, that's interesting.
You went away in the midst of saying something so lovely, and kind, and now you're a green square. And
Yeah,
I don't,
I'm a green
I,
square. I don't know
um,
what.
we can start over. So maybe that's the thing. Oh, now you're a window. That's promising. Now you're a green square. Now you're a window. I assume that's the other direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a nice window.
yeah,
It's a good
it's a nice
view.
window. And when I hit reverse, you get the green
I wonder
square. So,
what happened.
oh, okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me see if I can do.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so because what I was saying that's so great about your platform, right? Before I like reduce myself to a green square. Um, as a
Technology,
psychotherapist,
right?
yeah, right.
What are you trying
Yeah.
to say?
As
What's that?
a
What are you really
psychotherapist.
saying with that? With that green square?
Right, 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 right. It's just so often that women downplay themselves.
True.
Oh, my story is not that important. Oh, I didn't have it that bad.
That for
No,
sure.
who wants to listen to me?
Hmm.
Who wants to hear my story? Who really cares? And who needs to hear about what I experienced, learned, survived?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
there's a frame quote that I keep on my wall. It's actually a Marianne Williamson quote.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others." And I think this is so much of what you're doing as you allow us to talk about our past and explore that and be a little surprised. Actually, I was by the writing of the poem. So I just think it's women's work to do to understand ourselves,
Hmm.
for ourselves, not for anybody else. And it's a lot about what my memoir in progress and this poem is about. Yeah.
Well, that was. Thank you for sharing all of that and the quote. I agree with that. I think it's taken me a while to feel like I agree with that. To think that uh, that creating a safe space for myself helps me like model that and create that for others. And I've realized over time that that was really the catalyst behind all of this. Was it was something that I wanted for myself, and and in giving it to others or creating it and inviting others in, I was giving it to myself. So
You are more than giving it to yourself, because congratulations. I just read about all of the awards that your new film, To Hold the
oh,
Night.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lovely evening, and it's always fun. The thing that's fun about film is sharing it, like the best, sharing it with an audience. So
Yeah.
that was such a gratifying experience, and seeing it on the big screen, and it is a thrill seeing my name on the big screen. It's a fun thing. Um, and I created it with a bunch of women who I love and
I,
respect, and
I've
that is
read
like
that.
a
Yeah.
really special who, I mean, and I've said this other places, but Jen, who was one of the producers, and Jess, who was the director and producer, they're the two people who, when I stopped writing, were like, don't stop, we want to read what you have to write, even
Oh,
if it's just for us, And so uh, it's really deeply meaningful for me to share it with
yeah.
them, because it really does take a whole community, I think, to keep us going as creatives, because it can be hard, and
Yes.
to keep going, and to be like you said, to believe that your story matters to someone,
Yes.
um, and to have it not feel self-indulgent, which is silly, but it's something I think we all, or most of us, struggle
Yes.
with.
And I think it's because we don't realize that ultimately all of our stories are universal.
Yeah,
They are
yeah,
shared in some measure, in some way, in the same experience or something different.
yep,
But the feeling and the emotion and the resultant life that evolves out of those experiences is universal.
yeah. I agree. And listening to these poems, and I think I actually said in the last one, like every poem, there's something that I directly relate to. Not even the general, like, oh, we were once small and now we're not, and we grow and change, but like actual concrete, specific things that I mean, it happens with your poem too, which
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing you read. Are you ready to read it?
I am ready to share it.
Okay, great.
I am from Hating to Lose at Monopoly, Scrabble, Old Maid, Crazy Eights, Hide and Go Seek, and Cowboys and Indians. I'm of tree houses climbed, clamped on metal roller skates, skate key swinging on my neck, the tricycle I painted red, the bicycle painted sky blue, pedaling to freedom, wind at my back. I'm shaped by Illinois deep white winters, sledding on steep street hills, by my favorite Hopalong Cassidy outfit and gold six-shooter, recess on slides and jungle gyms and playground cinders in knees forever, barefoot popping hot summer tar bubbles in the alley where we picked hollyhocks at the corner of the garage and fashioned childish Mayday corsages for wrinkled old neighbor ladies, rang the bell and ran. I'm made of Wheaties, Rice Krispies, Cheerios, oatmeal, cream of wheat, and dreaded Ralston. Meatloaf topped with Campbell's tomato soup, mashed potatoes, and peas. And a pineapple ring laid on one lettuce leaf, the whole filled with cottage cheese, topped with a maraschino cherry for a fancy Easter salad, courtesy Good Housekeeping magazine. I grew with a backyard pear tree full of bees, apple tree to climb, prickly raspberries, lilacs to sleep under in tents made of blankets, and wooden clothespins fat as cigars squeaked onto a saggy rope clothesline. I'm the product of my mother's famous one-liners. There's no trying, there's only doing. Who do you think you are? No, you are not sorry, listening, smart, going anywhere. I don't know why I even bother. It's like talking to a wall. I am from drama, on and off the stage. Secrets, lies of omissions, hiding truth, hiding in closets, hiding in characters in high school plays, hiding dreams, hiding fears, hiding me. I descended from the Morrisons of Scotland's barren highlands more than from my father's English shores, though I do have his initials, my consolation prize for not being the son they'd hoped for. My lineage is that of weavers, knitters, sewers, not a craft, but stitches out of necessity, warp and woof, knit and purl, running, basting, hemming, split, and backstitch. Mostly running and split, as I dangled by a thread in my family, tying a knot at the end so as not to lose myself. I'm from a matriarchal family where mother sets the rules, where 5 siblings never stood up for one another, shared secrets, or bonded, where father shrugged his tired shoulders and said, "It's okay with me, but you'll have to ask your mother." My DNA is from a woman my mother said was her sister, my aunt, but who was really her mother, my grandmother. You see, I come from my mother's trauma and shame and revenge that denied me grandparents. I'm the keeper of my family photo albums and stories, the keeper of my dad's silver-plated cigar tin, mother's broken teapot, her purple high school cheering letter, her cross stitch, but not the keeper of her secrets.
That, that was beautiful. You are now a square again. It happened gradually,
Oh,
right at the end. And I was torn about saying something, but I wanted you to kind of keep in your rhythm because it was so beautiful. But it was also very, some kind of weird metaphor was happening there as well. It was like
whoa.
slowly creeping up. Um, as you were talking about not keeping secrets, not being a secret keeper.
Yeah,
But
just
hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. Oh, you just missed the poem. But it was, oh, what a gorgeous poem, Charlotte. And so much there. I'm excited to read your memoir. And I loved, there was so much I related to. It's funny, the part I didn't actually relate to because of experience really spoke to me, though. All of the knitting and the weaving and all of those words. They're very powerful. And oh, my light just went off. So we're having lots of technical fun. Um, I, my children have done these activities. And so I don't know, they're really like, it just made me like, I hope you dive into this in your memoir because each one of those words has so much history and meaning and talks about the connectedness of us in different ways. I just was really struck by it. So, not that you're looking for ideas, but I was just like, I don't know. I thought it was really, and especially coming from a matriarchal family,
yeah,
and and the more I think I'm becoming aware, and I think a lot of us are, that women, lots of times this was how they financially kept afloat, was doing these activities, and they are marginalized because women do them, even though they are a very impressive and integral craft in our world. But because it was how women made money, it was
yeah.
like, oh, that's not that important. Uh, so it just, I don't know. It really like struck something in me. I specifically related to not wanting to lose at games and all the cereals. And I I dreamed of having a treehouse you talk about. It was like, oh, treehouse. So there was just so much there. What was it like writing this, Charlotte?
It was great, and it was great fun, and
Oh, good.
I think the prompts were wonderful.
Yeah.
There were several things that surprised me. One of the prompts that surprised me the most was the "I am from what ordinary items,"
Yeah.
which brought up the cereal and
Yeah.
the things. What it brought up for me was a lot of the fun things that I had in
Yeah.
my childhood. And in writing a memoir, often we're talking about going
Yeah.
deep and going dark and,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. And there certainly is that in all of our lives to some degree.
Yeah.
But this particular writing of the poem, this was one of the things that popped up happy times in my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really grateful for that.
Yeah. And I think it's important to, it rounds out the picture, right? because we
Yeah.
can't just be in the like deep all the time. We also have to open the lens to include all of I mean, that's what's so great about this prompt, like you say, like to
Yeah.
open it up to all the kind of details and minutia of our lives. And it paints a picture.
Yes. And it paints a 360-degree
Yeah.
picture
Yeah.
rather than a victim or a predator or a prey type of
Hmm. Hmm.
reading, which gets pretty darn boring.
And it's
Um,
hard. Yeah, it's hard to continue on with that when you're
yeah.
reading it. It's like, oof. And I also relate to the bicycle and the wind.
Yeah.
God, I love just riding down hills and
Yeah.
feeling like just so powerful and invincible. And
Yeah.
um, it's just that was a fun one to consider.
Yeah. I think
And
bicycle for me was a lot about
yeah,
freedom, about escape from the house,
yeah,
about
yeah.
racing and being faster than anyone. There's a fair amount of competition with as
Stay
you
with my
said,
family. Hmm.
right?
Yeah, oh
Um,
yeah.
One of the other things, and that you've mentioned it, is that my mother taught us to sew. I have three sisters and a brother. Taught us all to sew very young and to sew our own clothes, which comes with embarrassment at
Yeah,
school of
yeah.
having homemade
Hmm.
clothes. But it also came with pride because I became a very skilled seamstress. And it was interesting. Something you said was very close to what my developmental editor pointed out to me is that sewing has been a thread all the way through my
Yeah,
life
yeah,
and now needs to become a secondary theme
yeah.
in my memoir.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so there
Because
you
I
go.
really felt that so strongly during your poem. Like, oh, I don't want to give you notes on your memoir that I haven't read, but this is so exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So everything from through my life has been everything from embroidering as a kid and making pot holders,
Yes.
put it on the little loom and
Yeah.
you do that, to costume design in my
Oh.
theater work, to sewing panels for the AIDS quilt in Washington, and ultimately to everything that I brought home as I traveled internationally when I was teaching.
Hmm.
It's always been what I brought home is things that were created with a needle and a thread in a woman's hand. So in Belgium, it was linens. In France, it was curtains. In Peru, it was weavings, woolens in Scotland. In China, it was embroidery. In fact, what looks to be like a painting behind me here
Hmm.
from my trip in China when I was traveling with my Tai Chi master. And that is actually silk embroidery,
Oh, wow.
all done by hand with silk thread.
Jesus, that seems hard.
Yeah,
Silk is so fragile.
it
It,
was. I went
you
to
know,
a school while I was there in China
that's
because
gorgeous.
where they're trying to save that and teach the younger generation, about.
Oh,
So this sewing has become this secondary, interesting way
yeah.
of threading its way
Yeah.
through my memoir.
Well, and connecting the seemingly unconnected, which is something I
Yes.
think that's very important and
Yes.
often happens in memoir and is so fun when it does happen when you're reading. It's like that they have found a way to take you on a journey that you maybe wouldn't make sense any other way, you know?
Yes.
So
Or perhaps something that would interest someone who might not necessarily be interested in just a straightforward
for
memoir,
sure.
but
Hmm.
that had something to do with sewing which they could relate to.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
And
I'm
it
so
also,
excited.
yeah, I know. Isn't it? See, you're very astute about these things.
Well, I've listened to a lot of these, and I think also like those things that come to the surface, like
Yeah.
when we push aside or we let there be space beyond what we think we know about ourselves. Very
Yeah.
exciting. As a psychotherapist, I'm sure you are more than aware of that. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, I don't know. But as I sat with women over the years, one of the major lessons I learned was you do not know who you walk beside.
for sure.
You do not know the clerk that checks out your groceries. You know, you need to have respect for all human life.
Mm-hmm.
It's so true. And women have shared wonderful stories of their life with me. It really brought up gratitude for all the women in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and in particular, since we're talking about writing somewhat here, um, my earliest coach, Carol Flanagan Flynn, she was such a champion, such a cheerleader of my writing. And
Oh, that's
then
wonderful.
it made me think about Allison
Yeah.
Williams, who continues to teach me amazing things about the craft of writing.
And
And
she's the reason we know each other
yes,
and why we know Rebecca
yes,
and why we know so many wonderful, supportive, encouraging, mostly women.
yeah,
It's it's yeah, that she creates these spaces to make you feel like you're not alone. Like,
that's right, right, and encourage you to
yeah,
connect and reach out.
yeah.
And she's just so multi-talented. It's it's amazing, but and so generous.
I know I
And
hope one
then
day she'll join me here because I want to hear where she's from because I have no doubt it would be fascinating.
that's
Because
great.
she has lived many
Yes,
lives.
many lives. Yes. My wife is still learning about some of my lives
Yeah.
after 28 years.
Yeah.
And most recently, my developmental editor, the amazing Beth Kephart, who has who
She
has seen.
is joining me here, and I'm very excited
Oh
for
my
it.
gosh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
She when I was interviewing with her on Zoom saw this and
Well, and she does all kinds of cool stuff with paper.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how she's the one who
Yeah.
came up with the sewing piece to run
Ah, that
through.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
she's
she's
so
so
observant,
good at
so observant, right?
reframing things.
Yes,
She's really good at that.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, that's
And
wonderful.
yeah,
I don't know her that well, but I just like, I don't know. I love her.
yeah, isn't
She's
that
just like
great?
warms my heart.
Oh yeah. And speaking of love, can I share another quote
Yeah,
that
of
I
course.
yeah? These are the words of Maria Pavlova, and I think these words describe the women I was just talking about. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romance, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work in those moments when life and shame and sorrow occlude our own light from our view. But there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back. In our best moments, we are that person for another.
Absolutely. That is
Yeah.
so true. And
Yeah.
I was about to cry because I had a tough summer, really
Oh,
tough. And those people, who kept like holding me and telling me it was going to be okay. And I needed to get somebody to help me with the pain as I was like, I can handle it, because whatever. I was having flashbacks of a kind, where you get in a place and you kind of can't get out of it. Those people, they hold you and they mirror you and they tell you you deserve better and they
yes.
change your life.
Yes. 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 All yeses to all of us who do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's a simple thing, it's a great deal of it is the practice of just listening.
Yeah.
Active.
It's amazing how powerful listening is.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I learned that for myself in my meditation practice. I've been a meditator for a very long time. And the practice of just learning to sit still and listen to myself,
Yep. Yep.
which at times was a little bit like being locked in a phone booth with a crazy person. Uh,
Which is why I want to have a caveat like meditation is not for everyone, as my
yeah,
friends who have certain mental illness have told me. It's not for them, just for the very thing you're
yeah,
saying.
yes,
Like it
yes,
can be too much for certain people, but for
yeah.
those of us who it works for, it's very powerful. And I think you'll appreciate, Charlotte. The idea for this series came to me in a meditation.
Wow.
So
Wonderful. The
I was
best.
like, I was laying there because I'm a rule breaker. And it was like, try this. Because that's the beauty of meditation, right? Is like, boom, it just shows up and you're like out of nowhere, seemingly.
Yes. Yes, that's right, because your mind settles and your
Mm-hmm.
creativity kind of rises to the top. And Rebecca, you don't need to work on meditation. I think, well, because meditation, people think meditation is just sitting down on a cushion and
Yeah,
with your
no.
eyes closed. But people meditate in many, many ways. You could be washing the dishes.
Taking a walk
Yeah,
is a great one.
you know, it's about bringing your more of your attention to your senses, and experiencing taste. Well, I taught mindful eating for many years internationally. So I'm all about taste and smell and touch and texture. Yeah, yeah.
Well, and you're a gardener. That's another great one.
That's another great one. Hands in the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've written poems about that, putting your
Mm-hmm.
hands in the earth and what that is about and how that feels. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways just to help
Yes.
focus and be present to what's here right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's so important to say because I do think people think, oh, I gotta like sit on a pillow, say my
Yeah.
mantra. Like, I don't do any of that. And I mean, I was raised in a TM household, so I had to really find my own way.
Yes.
Like this isn't working for me. And TM, for anyone who doesn't know, is transcendental meditation. And it works wonders for a lot of people, but it was not right for me. And so I think that it is important to highlight like meditation can take so many different forms.
Absolutely. And
Mhm.
what you're saying is so important, I think, for us women is to trust what's right for us,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Hmm.
the
It's
trust.
hard.
Uh,
Especially for somebody who, like many of us, are perfection. That was definitely one of my coping things. And so it's like, well, I got to do it the right way. And that's something I still am working to undo this notion of right, the right way.
Yes, and usually for me, the right way was someone else knew better.
Right. Yep, for sure. An
Yeah,
expert.
right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then that's not conducive to any of us women becoming all of who we can be.
No, I think lots of times it just fills us with shame because we're not doing it
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. So writing has been a way for me to know myself better.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and the recognition that my experiences, as shameful or awful or horrible as I thought they were, um, are simply part of life that helped me develop into who I am, and that many, many, many other women have had similar experiences. And you bring the light to things. I have another quote I love. It says, when I want to stop writing, you
Hmm.
know, it says, why bother? Because right now there is someone out there with a wound in the exact shape of your
That's
words.
a great one. That's a really good one. I love that one.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? A wound in the shape of your words. Yeah, we're connected. We're all connected. If it's stitch by stitch for me.
Yeah. That's meditative too. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
There's a long list here,
There's
Rebecca
a lot.
and others. You're not doing it wrong. You're great.
Right.
Um, but that's such a good quote because I have been the one with the wound so many times and the words have healed me and the thing that happens, it helped me understand myself. Like when somebody says something in a way that I think, oh, that was me. That
Yeah,
happened to me. Um, and it's so many times it has been reading or listening to someone else has helped me understand my own experience. And if I could do that for someone else, it's like, oh, it's reciprocity, right? So many have done it for me. And if I can do it for others, like, great, we're all in it together.
that's right. Yeah. And it's healing for the writer sharing those words.
Yeah.
The more that I have put on the paper and read out loud or had read back to me,
Mm-hmm.
um, the less vulnerable I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's an invulnerability in being vulnerable.
I think especially over time, right?
Yes, over time, definitely,
Because I
definitely.
remember when Rebecca has said, I can't wait to read your memoir. And I
Oh,
completely agree. So I didn't want to miss that. Um, but I remember, and I've said this to some other women, the first piece I sent out, right before I hit send, I said to myself, the shame is not mine. And I sent it. The shame is not mine. And it helped me a lot to be able to send it and put that out in the world. Um, so, well, any last thoughts, Charlotte? This has been a wonderful conversation and a gorgeous poem. And anything else?
no, other than thank you for being in the service to other women. And I hope to do the same with my writing.
Well, you are, and with your just person, like you're doing it.
All right.
Um, well, thank you for everyone who joined us, and thank you for your time,
Yeah.
Charlotte. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.